Good morning. Welcome to day 3 of the Ctbuh 2010. My name is David Scott. I'm not Anthony Wood according to the program. Unfortunately, Anthony has had to leave. He has had a family emergency, and last night he returned to Chicago. So Anthony's put in an enormous amount of effort to help the conference to be the success that it's been, and we all hope him well and that things work out at home. I know that he will be very upset to miss today's events. We have got a very great program. I hope you all enjoyed the site tours yesterday and the cultural tours. I went to Kanchenjunga, a wonderful building by Charles Correa, 35 years old and still a great example of sustainable design. And I have to say, one of the things that really surprised me was, why hasn't that technique been developed further? Because it is very sustainable, very effective, and a great piece of architecture, appropriate and developed here in Mumbai. And even after 35 years, it's got still a wonderful sense of modern architecture and engineering, a great place to be in, and these lovely through ventilations, which means that there was no need for any air conditioning, except in the apartments where the owners didn't know how to use the building the way it had been designed. So very interesting. And on the way there, we saw an enormous amount of construction, some wonderful, some terrible, both inefficient, ineffective, and we hope that by sharing some of the international experience here today that you can learn from the good bits and not copy the international mistakes that have been made elsewhere. The more I come to India, the more difficult it is for me to understand it. It's a great place. The city is incredibly vibrant. And as you develop Mumbai, I hope that you don't turn it into another Western city. There is something really special here that you need to cherish and develop in your new features. And we saw an enormous amount of infrastructure projects everywhere. Dr. Galkwad showed us yesterday that Mumbai is not short of ambition. And I know that some people couldn't make it back till 9 o'clock because of some lack of infrastructure. But I hope that you are successful in fulfilling your ambition. In comparison, in New York, I've been recently working on the 2nd Avenue subway line, which is the newest line to be built in the city. We started that 35 years ago, and we hope that we will start the first tunneling in the next year. So you are moving much faster than many other cities. And it's a reflection of the fact that although Mumbai is an ancient city, in global development terms, it's still quite a young city. And you've got plenty of time to mess it up, but also plenty of time to make it successful. And there's a long way to go before it's too messed up. And I'm not sure how tall buildings will feature in the development of Mumbai, but they will certainly feature. And the idea of doing a redevelopment on an area-by-area basis rather than on a building-by-building basis obviously makes some sense, and it's certainly worth a try. And I would encourage the people of Mumbai to actually experiment with an area-by-area redevelopment in the heart of the city, potentially before it's too late. The conference so far has talked about ambitions, it's talked about philosophy, and today we're going to talk a little bit about some of the solutions that have been implemented and some of the new advances that are being talked about in the industry as a whole. When we're talking about solutions, I hope that these in some way are not solutions for Mumbai. In that, I mean, I hope we're not going to transfer an idea simply from one place to another, but that you will take parts of these solutions and use them to develop Mumbai's own vernacular. And today we've got a great lineup of speakers that are going to talk about both new technology, but how buildings are used. And we are also going to give you a unique perspective from the public's point of view. The next presentation is entitled Taipei 101, Greening the World's Tallest, and will be given by Cathy Yang from the Taipei Financial Center Corporation. Please give a big hand to Cathy Yang.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's my great pleasure to be here in Mumbai finally and to share with you our experiences in Taipei 101. I'm very happy to see Alan here, who we actually officially invited him to climb Taipei 101. Maybe only one of the few cases where he climbed legally of a building. We did that because it's difficult for Taiwan to attract international media attention. And we invited him to climb the building like 6 days before our opening at the end of 2004, so that the world would know there's a tall building being completed in Taipei, Taiwan. My name is Cathy Yang. I work for the company that invests and develops and manage the building. My job is to lease up and manage the building and try to make the building profitable. In the past few years, when we were still the world's tallest building, I've been to more than a dozen conferences introducing to people how we market and manage our building, how we transform the building from a mega construction site to a city icon. And today I'll be talking in a different aspect. I think back in 1997, when my boss took on the job to invest and develop this superstructure in Taipei, the challenge was to try to finish the building because Taiwan does have typhoon and earthquake. So it's a big challenge to complete a very tall structure in Taipei. And then when the building was completed at the end of 2004, the challenge was to put people in the building, fill out the building, and put a management system, get a good management team in place so that we can operate the building properly. Now this is sort of another phase and another challenge that we are facing. That is, we want to get this LEED certification and try to make the building a more eco-friendly building. Back in 2001, when we were doing the branding practice for the building, we come up with the name. The project name was Taipei Financial Center in the beginning, because the Taipei City wanted to build a building, the infrastructure, and try to make Taiwan a regional financial center. And of course, that was before Hong Kong hand over back to China. That the government wanted to try to also make Taipei a financial center. So the government have the land to put up for tender, and our company, the investment, a company that's formed by several major financial institutions, won the bid to develop this site. So the name was Taipei Financial Center, and of course there were many buildings in Taipei that call similar names, Financial Building, Taipei Financial, all kinds of similar names. So we want to come up with something that is more easy to remember, easy to be called, and that people can very quickly identify that with our building. And finally, the name came out was Taipei 101, and we do have 101 floors. And the Taipei, we also try to find meanings for this Taipei, T-A-I-P-E-I. So we come up with this, the 6 characteristics that can represent Taipei 101. And in fact, one of these was environment. E was what we think environment. Because throughout the construction phase, we we pay a lot of attention to being environmental friendly. And so this has been something that is always on our agenda, even through the design phase and the construction phase and up to the operation stage. This is how the building is being used. We have a shopping mall in the podium that's from B1 to 6th floor level, and then a car park from B2 to B5 level. And the whole tower is actually an office tower. But we have 2 sky lobbies, and on top of the building there's a multi-function floor and there's restaurant floors, and of course there's a very profitable observatory on the 91st floor, and then we also extended that to 88th floor. And the smaller part of the building is a communication tower, and then on top, on the 101 floor, we do have a private function room there. So it's mainly an office building, and every 8th floor there's 1 mechanical floor that you can see that's forming the different sections of the building. This is how the site plan looks like. We have the site of about 30,000 square meter, and with shopping mall on one side and office tower on the other. And Taipei is a basin, so on the south and eastern side is actually where the hills are. So, of course, the tall tower will be sitting in front of the tower, in front of the hills, and facing to the city with the lower podium. This is, of course, a feng shui consideration. After the few facts about the building, in the beginning, of course, we've chosen this non-reflective double low-E glass curtain wall, and the curtain wall the glass was like a double glazing, and with a special chemical treatment that will reduce 50% of the heat coming into the building, and I think it's a very important and decision in the beginning that make us the envelope of the building is very energy efficient. This is what our floor plan looks like. I think the architect in the beginning has already put in a lot of thought about environment. And you see on the corridors, we all have light sensors that other than the office hours, a few lights will be triggered by motion sensor that during off hour. And we do have a lot of people working late at night, but we don't turn on all the lights in the public corridor for them. And also, there's something that people may not be used to in Taipei. That is, all the toilet lights will be turned off. But there is one button in the elevator lobby for people to push if they want to use the toilet at night after office hours. So that's something to save energy as well. We also have put in a garbage chute system that is very. That's something that also quite unusual in Taipei to have this. But considering all these people working in the building and the volume of garbage that we need to transport every day to the B2 level, that it has considerably reduced garbage volume and, of course, save a lot of elevator rides and manpower that have to do this every day. And there's the window blinds of every floor is provided, and because we use clear glass, therefore the light is very strong, especially in the afternoon when Taipei is in a subtropical area. So the blind is about like 15% light filtration rate. So in the afternoon is people usually in the west side of the building would put the blinds down so that reduce heat and also to protect their eyes, I guess. From the beginning, the office floor, we provide lighting fixtures to the tenants. So we have been using T5 lights tubes from the beginning of the operation, and we also have put a small pantry on every floor that we provide potable drinking water and also a boiler, so that the idea was to save people save tenants from having to order bottled water and save a lot of delivery for tenants. We also have an energy management control system in place from the start that was provided by Siemens. Taipei has been encouraging this ice storage tank system, so we do have that in our basement. We also have installed the CO2 sensor for our AHU units on every mechanical floor that provides air conditioning to the office floors. Of course, VAV system is used throughout the office floors. We also have a gray water system that was put in place that will collect rainwater and try to be used by the shopping mall toilets and also the cooling towers. But we found that to be somewhat problematic because we worry about the water situation that will be supplied into the cooling tower. So this system, we needing to do some repiping so that we can actually use this rainwater. The building is now about 80% occupied since we opened, since our first tenant moving in May 2005. And so this is about the 6 years of our operation. We already have about 10,000 people working in the building and 1,500 visitors a day to the companies in the tower. And we have 50 elevators in the building that's transporting all these people up and down the building. We do have a very popular observatory on the top of the building. Is rated the #1 destination, tourist destination in Taipei. And the shopping mall is in the podium part that with a very separate, all the separate plants and equipments. The lights you see on the building when we say cool -2 degrees, that was this idea that before 2,100 years, the Earth's temperature shouldn't be rise above 2 degrees. And that will bring catastrophic results to the Earth. And the Earth has already, temperature has risen 0.7 degree. So that was a campaign that we worked together with the environmental groups to put this sign on the building and let people be aware of this situation. And I think in Asia, in Taiwan or China and also India, the importance of property management is usually downplayed. I think it's not, for all the developers and architects, when they start building a building, they're putting all the fancy, expensive materials and also equipment, trying to build a very nice building. And then when it was into the operation stage, people usually forget or neglect how important it is to maintain and upkeep the property in a good state, in a good operating state. But that is really how you can keep the value of your property through proper management. And so adequate budget and money need to be spent on this on the management of the building. So when we start operation, we have been doing also a lot of education to the tenants. The property management fee that we charge to the tenants is among the highest in Taiwan. But of course, we have all this equipment to look after and the staff that needs to service the tenants. So, but we also at the same time do a lot of tenant education thing to also bring the tenant together with us to know how important it is to recycle their garbage, to save energy, to try to save water usage. So, and also we do a lot of some seminars and lectures to invite tenants to attend so that they understand the importance of this environmental practice, environmental protection practices. You can see some of the effort that we put, the poster on the left-hand side is how we tell people what are the things you can put in the recycle bins, not just throw it away as garbage. And on the lower left, right-hand side is the recycle garbage bins we put in on every floor in the service lift lobby, so that people from the beginning, when they move into the building, they know we have a very active recycling plan in the building. And of course, it's important that the building is non-smoking from day one. And we used to have a smoking room on the 35th floor in the transfer lobby. But and then beginning of last year, the government has a new, more stringent policy that to ban smoking in the building, and we were gladly happy to cancel the smoking room and put all the smokers on the street outside of the building, because that saved us a lot of maintenance costs and problem. We also try to organize a green Christmas party. We created a green calendar so that people know what we are doing throughout the year. This is a recycling station that we have. For like 2009, for instance, the total amount of recycling was about 1,253 tons for a year, and the garbage that was thrown into the garbage chute that end up in this big container on the B2 level was like 1,033 metric tons per year. So you can see we actually recycle more waste than the things that was really just being sent to the garbage incineration plant. So I think we're doing quite okay with recycling, but of course we have to continue the effort, and it's a continuous effort that needs to be made. We have also, from the start, trying to be very conscious with energy consumption and save energy. Our annual energy cost is, with office tower and the shopping mall together, is about $6 million a year. That's a lot of money. And we do get this reimbursed from the tenants, but if we can save on energy consumption, that will help the tenant to save their operating costs too. So we have to first analyze where the energy was consumed. So you can see from 2007 to 2009, as there are more and more people work in the building, the percentage of elevator consumption, of course, will be reduced, because it's the same. It's not increasing, not as much as the lighting and HVAC as tenants are working in the building. But to compare office tower and the shopping mall, you see the scrubber is for the restaurants and F&B outlets in the shopping mall. Is quite a big amount of energy that's being consumed. And also with the tenants, all these nice shops, they will have a lot of lights in their store to make their things look more attractive. So that's a big item of energy consumption. And so in the first few years, we review all the public lighting, and I think there's a tendency that the designers put too much lights in the building, and so when we are trying to save costs and then reduce energy consumption, we have to review all the public lighting. We try to, if there are 2 light tubes in the mechanical floor, we take out one of the tube and then reduce the lighting, and also we try to change the lighting schedule a little bit. And in the parking lot, they used to have a lot of halogen lights, and we slowly changed them all to T5 tubes. And of course, we would love to use LED lights, but it's not yet. But I think the development of LED lights is so fast that maybe very soon we'll be able to change to LED lights with a lower cost. Right now, it's just too expensive to try to change to LED with a building that's only like 5 years old. So we also adjust parking lot ventilation and adjust escalator schedules and reduce the running time of elevators. We also, and of course, air conditioning is a big item. We modify the chiller plant operating schedule and modify chill water distribution so that it's more efficient. The result, as you see, is here. For the office tower, we were able in 2008 that we did a lot of the program, so we saved the energy consumption to only 85% of what the previous year, even though the tenants in the building were increasing. And then 2009, then it's only like 5%. But with the shopping mall also, we've been reducing energy consumption. And the parking lot in 2008, because of ventilation problem, we have to have more of this exhaust that in operation. So you see this sudden jump of consumption, energy consumption. But 2009, we did some alteration to change the ventilation problem, and then and also changing the light, so the energy consumption dramatically dropped. And then if we transfer that into money saved, if we continue to use the light energy the way we did in 2007 and 2008 when the energy price went up and the power rate also gone up like about 33%. So if we use the same unit rate for 2007 and if we haven't been putting the plans for 2008, 2009, then we wouldn't have like saved this like about $2 million for the last 2 years. So we have, I think we have a good foundation to start doing this LEED registration thing. So, but I'll be very quick about this one. Our target time is to get LEED certified in early next year, 2011. But there was been a long process talking to the consultants, and at first we were afraid that whether or not we can really do this, especially with the financial crisis last year, October 2008. And then we finally decided that we really need to do this certification. I think there's many benefits to this, but I think one thing very important is that in the future, I think all the corporates will be asking for this LEED certification. They'll be asking for buildings that with good environmental programs. So that will make us very competitive in the future to attract international tenants. And also it's part of the corporate social responsibility thing that if Taipei 101 can do it, and all the other smaller buildings will be able to do it. But of course, we face a lot of challenges that we have to get the cooperation of the tenants to work with us together in order to get the LEED certification. This asks how you do the calculation, how you can get this LEED thing going. And when we was about to embark on the project, of course, my boss is saying that we have to get at least gold certification. If it's not above gold, then we might as well not to do it. It wouldn't look good, of course, for us. So we have already finished our first phase of evaluation, and we probably need to spend $1.8 million, and we have identified 45 projects that we need to do to the building so that we will get enough credits to get a gold or even the platinum possible of LEED certification. We are sort of in the borderline there. And for LEED existing building operation and management, it's very different from the new construction kind of LEED category, because it's a lot. Some of the things are really about management systems and policies that you put in place, and also the green purchasing that requires you to have the tenant working with you on how they do their cleaning, how they do their purchasing. The projects we have identified is I have listed here. So we have to have more green space, and for indoor air quality, we also need to improve certain things. When we finish all the program, and we will be able to get a certification, and then we'll become the world's tallest green building. And hopefully that will happen in the first quarter of 2011. And I think in the green circle, there's a famous saying that we shouldn't be saying that we want to save the planet. It's Mother Earth will survive with whatever climate change, but it's the humankind that may not survive. So I think the conference theme is remaking sustainable cities in the vertical age. And I think we can maybe change a few words, and it's equally valid to say that we also want to making a vertical cities in the sustainable age. Okay, thank you. That's my presentation.